The great Vietnamese face-off, a presidential plane, a playful shove, and global hysteria. Oh, humanity, you never cease to amaze. This time, our global meltdown centers on the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, and his wife, Brigitte, and a plane in Vietnam, specifically on May 25th, 2025. The scene of the crime, Noi Bai International Airport in Hanoi. The alleged offense, a shove, yes, a shove, a marital microaggression perhaps, but a geopolitical crisis. Hold your horses, Internet, or as they say in France, tenez vos chevaux. As they were disembarking the presidential jet ready to charm Vietnam on their grand Southeast Asian tour, a camera caught a moment, a fleeting blink-and-you'll-miss-it moment. Brigitte appeared to Emmanuel's face. Yes, you heard that right. A gentle, or perhaps not-so-gentle nudge. A brief, hands-on encounter with her husband's presidential visage. The horror. The world naturally gasped. Headlines screamed. Social media exploded. Deconstructing the assault on presidential dignity. Spoiler, it's not one. Let's break down this Zapruder film of marital mischief, shall we? The Associated Press, bless their cotton socks, captured the footage. The plane door opens. Dramatic, right? Out steps Emmanuel Macron, looking every bit the President of France, ready to wave, ready to greet, ready to do all those presidential things presidents do. He's probably thinking about trade deals or geopolitical strategy or whether he left the iron-on back at the Elysee. Standard presidential thoughts. Then, from the shadowy depths of the aircraft, like a playful phantom, Brigitte's arms appear. Dun, dun, dun! Her hands, those now infamous hands, make contact. One on his mouth and part of his nose, the other on his jaw. It's a full facial embrace, and then the shove, or a push, or a gentle repositioning, depending on your chosen level of hysteria. Macron, to his credit, looks momentarily startled. As one might if one's spouse unexpectedly reconfigured one's face in public. He recoils, he steps back. Relax, it's just foreplay. The Elysee Palace Guide to Damage Control. Now, when your presidential face shove goes viral, you need a response, and fast. Emmanuel Macron, bless his heart, tried to pour cold water on the inferno of speculation. He basically said, everyone calm down, we were just mucking about. Or, in his more presidential phrasing, they were joking around and play fighting. He described the incident as being overblown into a sort of geoplanetary catastrophe, which, frankly, is a magnificent turn of phrase. I might borrow that next time I spill coffee on my laptop. Darling, it's not a ruined keyboard, it's a sort of geoplanetary catastrophe in miniature. His office initially seemed to have a minor panic. First, they reportedly denied the authenticity of the images. Nope, didn't happen. Fake news, deepfake shove. The internet freaks out, because of course it does. This is why we can't have nice things, like unscrutinized presidential greetings. The internet, that bastion of reasoned debate and calm reflection, reacted exactly as you'd expect, with the subtlety of a foghorn in a library. The video spread like wildfire, or more accurately, like a really juicy piece of gossip in a particularly bored office. Accounts hostile to Emmanuel Macron, and let's be honest, every politician has a fan club of haters, lapped it up. They shared it. They memed it. They analyzed it with the forensic intensity usually reserved for alien autopsies or the last biscuit in the tin. It was, in short, a digital feeding frenzy. French newspaper, never one to miss out on a bit of domestic drama, ran a headline questioning if it was a slap or squabble. Oh, the nuance, the journalistic rigor. Was it a calculated act of aggression, a slap echoing through the halls of power, or merely a squabble, a minor tiff, the kind of thing that happens when you've been cooped up on a long-haul flight with anyone, even the President of France? The nation held its breath. Section 5, Emmanuel and Brigitte, a love story for the ages, or at least one that started in a drama club. Now, to understand the potential dynamics of the shove, one must delve into the backstory of Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron. Theirs is a romance that has always raised an eyebrow or two, not in a bad way necessarily, just in a well, that's different kind of way. They married in 2007. He, the dashing young political prodigy. She, his former high school teacher. Yes, you read that correctly. His former high school teacher. It's the kind of story that would make a Hollywood screenwriter say, maybe a bit too on the nose. They met when Emmanuel was a precocious teenager at La Providence High School. Brigitte, then Brigitte Ozier, a married mother of 3, was a literature and drama teacher. She supervised the drama club. and young Emmanuel, apparently quite the thespian, was a member. One can only imagine the dramatic tension. He, a mere student, reportedly promised to marry her before he even left for Paris to finish his schooling. Section 6, Beyond the Shove. What were they actually doing in Southeast Asia? Hint, it involves more than facial rearrangements. Believe it or not, the Macrons weren't in Vietnam just to provide fodder for internet comedians. Shocking, I know. Vietnam was actually the first stop on an almost week-long tour of Southeast Asia. A proper grown-up diplomatic mission. The itinerary also included Indonesia and Singapore. So, actual work was involved. Not just playful shoves and moments of decompression and complicity. Though I'm sure those helped pass the time on the long flights. One hopes, anyway. Otherwise, what's the point of having a presidential plane? The main objective of this grand tour? To pitch France as a reliable alternative. An alternative to whom? You ask? Why, the United States and China, of course. Those two global giants currently engaged in an economic tete-a-tete, also known as a trade tariff war. Macron, ever the opportunist, sees a gap in the market, tired of American unpredictability, wary of Chinese dominance. Bonjour, have you considered France? Section 7, the geopolitics of a gentle nudge. When a spousal squabble becomes an international incident, it's truly a testament to the modern age that a fleeting moment between a husband and wife can be instantly catapulted onto the world stage. And not just onto the world stage, but into the realm of geopolitical analysis. Imagine, if you will, Metternich or Talleyrand trying to decipher the meaning of a playful shove. Your Excellency, the Archduchess just nudged the Emperor's chin. Does this signal a shift in Austro-Hungarian policy towards the Ottoman Empire? Or did he simply have a bit of breakfast stuck in his beard? It's absurd, gloriously, wonderfully absurd. The speed at which this tiny personal interaction was framed as something is breathtaking. Was it a power play by Brigitte? A sign of Emmanuel's weakening authority? A coded message to other world leaders that France was, quite literally, ready to get hands-on in international affairs? The speculation, fueled by the 24/7 news cycle and the echo chamber of social media, took on a life of its own. Suddenly, this wasn't just about the Macrons. It was about France. It was about global stability. It was about the very fabric of diplomatic decorum. Or, not. One has to wonder what actual diplomats, the people whose job it is to navigate these complex international waters, thought of it all. Were they huddled in embassies dissecting the footage? Ambassador, look at the angle of her wrist. That's clearly a sign of displeasure with his stance on NATO expansion. Or were they more likely rolling their eyes and muttering about the ridiculousness of it all before getting back to discussing actual important things? Section 8, not the first rodeo. Macron versus the internet's wildest conspiracy theories. Remember Cocaine-gate? No, it was a tissue. This, as President Macron himself pointed out, isn't his first dance with the internet's more creative interpreters. He's had previous encounters with the crackpots, as he so affectionately calls them. Remember that thrilling episode during a visit to Ukraine? A video surfaced. It showed Macron removing a crumpled white object from a table on a train. The internet, in its infinite wisdom, immediately decided it was a bag of cocaine. Yes, cocaine. Because obviously the President of France casually handles Class A drugs on official state visits. Makes perfect sense. Macron, with the weary sigh of a man who has explained this too many times, clarified. It was a tissue, a humble, unassuming tissue. Section 9. So, was it a slap, a shove, or just Tuesday? Let's all calm down and have a croissant. So, what have we learned from this momentous event in Franco-Vietnamese relations? We've learned that the President of France and his wife are, in fact, human beings. Shocking, I know. Human beings who sometimes engage in playful, slightly awkward physical interactions. We've learned that the internet has an almost infinite capacity for overreaction, and that some people have way too much time on their hands. If analyzing a 2-second clip of a presidential face nudge is your hobby, maybe consider taking up knitting or competitive cheese rolling. Just a thought. Was it a slap? Unlikely. A squabble? Possibly, in the most benign sense of the word. Was it a carefully orchestrated piece of performance art designed to comment on the fragility of modern masculinity? Probably not, but it's fun to imagine, isn't it? The most likely explanation, the one that requires the least amount of mental gymnastics and tinfoil, is that it was nothing. A moment, a blip, a bit of silliness between two people who happened to be married and also happened to be in the global spotlight. It was perhaps just another Tuesday in the life of the Macrons. Or, well, a Thursday, as it was May 25th.